Hey everybody, I'm Ben Yee.
I'm Elissa Stein. We're here with breaking news.
Yeah.
We actually were at a meeting last night.
A forum of statewide candidates, in fact.
In fact, where a representative of Eric Schneiderman was supposed to come and talk on his behalf because he's up for re-election this year. The rep canceled 20 minutes before the meeting started. Yep. And during the meeting, an article came out with alleges of domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And by the time the meeting was over, he had resigned.
Yes.
Which leaves us with a lot of questions, and we thought that for this breaking news episode, we'd answer some of them. I've learned a lot in the past 24 hours about what happens, but I don't know that everybody out there was doing as much research as I was. So the first question is, how does he get replaced?
Right.
He still has the rest of this year to serve, so now what happens?
So the seat is vacated, and unlike other seats at lower levels, it's not a party process because there's no special election. The state constitution stipulates that for the comptroller or the attorney general, a vacancy shall be filled by a joint vote of the state assembly and the state senate, which means that they both get together and everybody has one vote, majority wins, with an assembly of 150 members, 104 of which are Democrats. That means that the assembly is going to largely be the determinant as to who gets the position.
Oh, I have a question. I actually knew this answer because I researched today. But are they all in session? Like, how do they vote? So now there's going to be
an
emergency vote.
They are in session, in fact.
All right, so there's an emergency vote on, I believe, May 24th and 25th. That's what I read
in the
today.
assembly. I'm not actually sure when they're voting, but it'll be soon.
It'll be soon. Do they have to physically be there?
Yes.
Okay, so a vote will be called and people will have to get up and say whatever?
Yeah, the votes we recorded, you'll get to see how your representatives go.
So that's the great answer to the first question. So we now know Assembly, Senate, each person gets one vote. The Assembly has more people in it, the majority are Democrats.
Yep.
Great for us because at least in this very short time period, just until the general election, we're going to possibly have, most probably have a Democrat in there.
Yes,
So
in fact it's 107 to win, and the Assembly Democrats themselves make up 104 of those 107.
Which is great. Okay, so that's
so
the first thing.
We'll almost assuredly get a Democrat in there.
So who decides who's going to run? I mean, is it going to be a variety of candidates? Are there, this is what I don't know. I've heard all kinds of things, names floated today. Oh, wouldn't it be great if it was this person? Preet Bharara. Wouldn't it be great if it was a woman?
Right.
So now what?
So there are probably like three big names out there, but really anybody's got the right to run, but they have to be, I believe, nominated by somebody in the legislature.
Okay.
So you couldn't just show up and be like, I want to be Attorney General.
So you couldn't show up, Ben Yee, and say, hey, you know what? I want to try this job on.
Well,
because it's just a short time.
I'm not an attorney, so definitely not me.
Yeah.
But as long as you know an assembly member, or you have to know a couple, you might be able to get a nomination, but that's actually probably unlikely because the leadership would say no.
Okay.
And so the people to watch in all of this are not just the candidates, but people who will influence over other legislators. And if you have been to a Real Politics 101, you know how all of that works, but essentially it comes down to Carl Heastie, who's Speaker of the Assembly, the governor, who's the executive of the New York State government, and John Flanagan, who's leader of the Senate. But again, the Senate is a much smaller piece of this, and the Senate Republicans, even though they're a majority in the Senate, are only the Republican caucus in as far as this matters. So it's really going to be about Carl Heastie and the governor, who are working their caucuses in the Assembly
and trying to figure out who the best choice would be to put up as a candidate.
Right, and the top candidates, as far as I know right now, are Zephyr Teachout is somebody who's considering being a candidate.
I've heard that today, which was really exciting.
Who ran against Governor Cuomo in 2014. Letitia James, who's public advocate here in New York City, the second highest ranking elected official.
I think that she's great. I wish that she would just stay in the city because I think that she has such an amazing voice for the city.
Well, she could take that voice to the state government, but we'll talk in just a moment about what would happen if one of these people left a position and created another vacancy.
Right, so that's another question.
But other candidates, before we do this, the other candidates under consideration are Preet Bharara, who was the federal prosecutor until Trump axed him, and Kathleen Rice, who ran against Eric Schneiderman for Attorney General, who's from Long Island.
Right, so that's great. So there are women in the mix?
Yes.
Okay, so when will this happen? So these are people who are being vetted. Are they being asked if they want to run? Are these rumors where people say, oh, I'd love to see Zephyr Teachout in this position, but has anybody spoken to them? And has there been any news yet about, oh, yes, this person is seriously interested, or no, actually, thanks for thinking of me, but no?
Zephyr tweeted earlier today that she's seriously considering it. Really, this is all a political question, and you need to have allies in the state legislature who are willing to support you or who would want you to run, which is one of the reasons I think even if Zephyr ran for it, she'd probably be unlikely because the governor really doesn't like her, and he would work to stymie her candidacy. And he would probably seek another
Right, so this is where
person.
the politics of things come in.
Right, I mean, you can't get into this without being connected in the legislature or having somebody with some influence in the legislature want you for that
So
position.
it's kind of like somebody sponsoring you for the position.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a new thing here at Real Politics, the TV show, which is a timer. You can't see it, it's off camera, but we're at almost 6 minutes, and our goal was 5, so we're just gonna quickly talk about what happens, 2 things. If somebody has a position, like Tish James, if she's chosen to do this, what happens to her job? And then also, Eric Schneiderman was basically a lock-in for a 3rd term.
Yeah.
He was running unopposed, and now there's this gaping hole.
Yeah.
And it's a very important position. So 3 things. What happens if somebody leaves a job? What happens with this now open seat?
Yeah.
And I'll think of my 3rd when we get to it.
All right, well, to just start with, if Tish James, for example, left her seat, it would kick off a special election here in the city. Anybody who leaves a New York City job, we have a special election system here, which is a nonpartisan special. Anybody who were to leave a state office or a congressional office, they would be filled by special election, and there'd be a vote of the county committee to choose candidates for that special election. However, what I will say is also that this seat only has the remainder of this year that's being filled. There are regular elections for statewide elected officials which are happening in 2018. So this position is effectively until the end of 2018.
Right.
There will be elections in November, and before that there will be a Democratic primary, and before that there will be petitioning. So even candidates who don't make it to the legislature will probably be coming out of the woodwork to vie for what is essentially an open seat in the primary.
So that was my third. That was my 3rd question.
And the state committee will actually be voting at the end of May for statewide endorsements, which means that if somebody wants to get the state committee's nod, the Democratic Party's nod, as a Democratic candidate for Attorney General, they'll have to come out and announce before the 23rd.
Okay, so
May,
my 3rd question was, whoever is put into this position for the short term, will that probably be a person who's going to run in the general election, or could it just be a stopgap? And to stick a body in there and hope that it's okay, knowing that there's going to be this big election. So I guess 2 questions. Is there a good chance that this person will continue in that role? Or could it be that you just put somebody in there to just be there, knowing that there's going to be now this huge push for a major competition?
That is a fantastic question. There is
I'm so glad I remember.
Yeah, it's a big question. It's a big unanswered question, and it really depends what the leadership of the state legislature and the state government are thinking right now about what kind of person they'd like to have in there. However, it is almost always the case that somebody who ends up occupying an office then wants to retain it.
Right, of course.
So it's very rare to find somebody who will agree to play by that, even if that was the intent.
I mean, so from what you said before about, the state elections are coming up now, but somebody like Tish James, who was elected last year, if she does this in the short term, she's going to have to give up her position as public advocate. So would she really want to give up something she was just elected for, and she obviously wants to do this very short term thing without some sort of
somewhere to go with it,
right? Because now she's giving up a career path to do the short-term thing with no guarantee, it seems like, whatsoever, that she would be the person to continue in the job.
This is actually a great place to round out the conversation, because essentially, any politician who takes this probably views it as a stepping stone to the future. There are maybe a couple of candidates you could find who would say, all I want to do is BAG, but again, once people end up in these places, it's very difficult to say, and the most important thing is, this is a statewide office in which Eric Schneiderman was basically poised to be the next governor. It's very close to the governorship of New York State. That's a very big and prestigious position. And with Eric Schneiderman leaving the picture, he was a giant force in the progressive community. there is a major shakeup happening right now, and if people start leaving other high positions to vie for AG and potentially move in on even higher statewide office, we're going to see a massive flux and a massive power vacuum there's going to be a rush to fill
just
it.
what we need.
So
Like,
there's
not
an
enough shit going on
incredible
right now.
amount of instability right now, right here in New York State, and I mean everything is just being upended in 2018.
Yeah, this is craziness, and it happened
that's where we are.
literally in hours. Everything seemed like it was great. I mean, I really looked up to this man and saw him as a sort of beacon of hope in the darkness. I appreciated what he was doing, what he had done, the fights he was fighting, and so it was, I know for me and for so many people, really a demoralizing thing that sort of harkened back to the 2016 election, where you had hope that things were going to go in a positive way, and then suddenly the rug is pulled out from under you, and you're left just sort of bereft, going, "What the fuck just happened?"
One of my more popular tweets recently was, 2018 has shown us that there are no heroes. You have to be your own hero.
All right, I
That's
buy
where we
that.
are.
Well, that's why we're here. We're here to be your hero.
No.
Or at least to bring you some news.
There are no heroes. You have to be your own
You have
hero.
to be your own hero.
But we
we'll
want to help you.
We are here to help. We're here to help
We're here
you
to
wear
empower
that
you.
cape. All right, on that note, see you next time.
Laters.
Well, that wasn't